Hello guys, and welcome back to another video. I hope you've enjoyed the Indonesia vlogs that have been going live in the past months. I really did end up loving Indonesia, but for a long time I avoided going to Indonesia altogether, and especially Bali I was not particularly looking forward to. But in this video I'm sharing my itinerary of the best things to see around Bali, coming from a person who's always tried to avoid it and ended up liking it after all. So let's get into it. This itinerary will amount to about a week of travel. You can decide to just go to Bali for a week, but you could also just put it into your entire Indonesia itinerary. And if you want to know more about everything you need to know before traveling to Indonesia, that will be my next video. So definitely subscribe and hit the notification bell so you do not miss that video either. But let's get into the Bali itinerary first. If you are looking for cool waterfalls, temples, and rice fields, then head from the airport straight to Ubud. We spent 3 days in and around the city, and we stayed at Green Paddy Hostel, which was just amazing. They gave us an entire suite all to ourselves. It was absolutely insane, and the staff was super helpful. Breakfast was included, and we rented a scooter with them. It cost us €6 for a whole day. On day one, we stayed very close to Ubud. We started with trying some Balinese coffee at Sidemen. We then walked to the Ubud Palace and also the Ubud Water Temple. These are pretty cool to see, but they are not the best temples around yet. We did get lucky with the festivities that were going on at the time that we were there, because it made the town just super beautifully decorated. After this, we made a stop at the arts market, which didn't have too many arts, but it definitely is a place you can score a souvenir. In the afternoon, we still had plenty of time, so we decided to go and visit some waterfalls. We started with the busiest one, the Kanto Lampu waterfall. I didn't enjoy this one that much because it was just so busy and full of people kind of doing a photo shoot, kind of like the thing you think of when you think of a Balinese waterfall that you do not want. That was that. So a bit disappointed, we decided to head on to the second waterfall, which was the Taman Sari waterfall. And we had a much better experience here. You can swim, you can get a proper massage underneath the waterfall. It was just a lot more local people. We really enjoyed it. Then another day in the afternoon, because we had a bit of a slow start that day, we first stopped at the Goa Gajah Elephant Temple. Next up, we did 2 more waterfalls in the same area of the others. We started with the Suat waterfall, which we had all to ourselves. And then finally, we did the Tibumana waterfall as well. This one was also really pretty, a bit more people there, but in general, I feel like, the last 3 waterfalls in Ubud were definitely our favorites. And then on the third day, we did a big road trip. We started at the Gunung Kawi, or the Valley of the Balinese Kings. I personally really loved this. Also, just the surroundings with the rice terraces was so pretty. And next up was the Tirta Empul Water Temple. This is where you get blessed with the water. You can see everything that I'm mentioning in the vlogs, by the way. So you can see everything much more in depth. And after we got blessed, we then popped back on the scooter and drove in the direction of the Tekad Sepun waterfall. This is like a very Instagrammable waterfall, which means that there's a lot of people there taking pictures as well. But the way you get there and just the surroundings, the walking through the canyon, does make the visit worthwhile. And then finally, we did the last bit of our drive all the way down to Sidemen. This place, just driving into Sidemen, felt like I was on the Ha Giang Loop in Vietnam again. Just the mountains, the rice terraces. This is such a pretty place where I would happily spend a night just surrounded by the rice fields, just enjoying the peace and quiet. We unfortunately didn't have time for that, but we went there especially for the silver class. You can make your own silver jewelry here, and it's super affordable. It's a great experience. It is a bit of a workout, but what better way to remember your trip by than to have a souvenir that you can wear all the time. So after our 3 days in Ubud, we then did a quick overnight trip to Bedugul. If you do decide to go north and go up into the mountains on the volcanoes, make sure you have some extra clothes with you because it's a different climate up there. It gets quite cold during the night, etc. So make sure you have an extra sweater or something just to keep you warm. We left our stuff in the hostel in Ubud and we took the scooter all the way up to Bedugul. First, we visited the Git waterfall, which was beautiful. We had it all to ourselves. There's a few more in the area as well, but we decided that we wanted to prioritize the Aling Aling waterfall. We're so glad we did because instead of doing a €130 canyoneering tour, we went to the Aling Aling waterfall and we tipped our guide quite a bit, but it turned out being €10 per person for just an amazing experience with a big waterfall slide, a natural slide, cliff jumping and so on, and just enjoying these many waterfalls. This was definitely one of our highlights of Bali and maybe even our entire Indonesia trip. As we drove back to spend the night at the Eco Adventure Camp, we also stopped by the Twin Lake View, looking out on the crater lakes. And if you still have time in the same day, you can visit the Ulundanu Bratan Temple, which is a beautiful temple also located on one of the crater lakes. The backdrop is just stunning. Another iconic Balinese landmark is the Handara Gate, but it's pretty much just a picture spot. It's not much more than that. Then the next day, you can either decide to do a sunrise experience or a sunrise hike at Mount Batur, which is one of Bali's volcanoes. This sunrise hike is meant to be beautiful. Instead, we just drove there on our second day. We drove along the Bali beans plantation and then finally ended up at Paper Hills to have lunch, looking out over the volcano, the black lava fields, the crater lake, and so on. Because we had been doing quite a bit of sunrise hiking on volcanoes already. So up to you to do either one or the other. You could just drive back to Ubud, pick up your bags, drop off the scooter, and then take a Grab or a Gojek down to, well, the south of Bali, I guess. Personally, I would not go back there, but if you do want to see what it's like in the famous Canggu, Uluwatu, and so on, if you're a surfer, you will definitely want to spend some time there. Personally, it wasn't my thing. But if you do decide to go, then try to match your visit with the weekend. Obviously, there's parties going on the weekend, but also on Sunday in Canggu, there's the farmers market at La Brisa, so the shopping is like extra nice. It's a good place to have like a Sunday brunch, for example. And then we drove around with our scooter for one whole day, beach hopping around Uluwatu as well. And then we did the Kashak dance theater in the evening, which is a beautiful cultural display of like the Balinese folklore and so on. I highly recommend going to see it as well. From Canggu, we also went to the Tanah Lot temples. I didn't have the best experience there, as you can see in the vlogs, but it's nearby, so you might as well have a look at it. Up north in Bali, if you do have more time, yes, you can swim with dolphins in Lovina. However, I have heard that it's not the most ethical experience. It's actually quite stressing. There's lots of boats, lots of people, and yeah, I just haven't really heard good things about it. So we decided to just skip that altogether, and we spent about a week on Bali, and eventually we did really enjoy our time, mostly just waterfall hopping, driving around with the scooter through these beautiful picturesque little towns, through the mountains and along the rice terraces. This was definitely, yeah, just my favorite thing to do on Bali. That is it. That would be my Bali itinerary. If you have more time than just a week, then you can continue your trip on Nusa Penida or the Gili Islands. Go to Flores to see the amazing Komodo National Park, or just take the ferry to Java, because there we saw amazing volcanoes, the beautiful waterfall, and some of the best temples in all of Indonesia as well. So if you want to know more about backpacking Indonesia, then definitely stay tuned for next week's video. And also check out the vlogs if you want to see everything more in depth. And then I hope to see you in the next video. Bye!